Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to today's webinar. I am Hani from Cygnet.One's marketing team and I'll be your host for today's session. Thank you for joining in. From tax notices to boardroom visibility, managing direct and indirect taxes litigation on one platform. Tax litigation is no more just about responding to notices. Today, it's about having complete visibility into notices, hearing dates, replies, ownership, litigation, litigation exposure, and compliance risks before they become boardroom concerns. Over the next 60 minutes, we will discuss the challenges organizations face in managing direct and indirect tax litigation. Understand why centralized litigation management has become a business necessity and demonstrate how technology and AI can help streamline litigation workflows, improve visibility, and strengthen governance. Before we begin, let me introduce our expert panels. So first up, we have CA Gaurav Sirsilwala, Principal at Dhruva Advisories. Gaurav is a CA with over 14 years of experience in indirect tax advisory, consulting, and litigation. He advises clients across industries on GST, central excise, and service tax matters, regularly handles department notices and litigation, and has extensive experience in drafting appeals, representing clients before authorities, and managing GST compliance. Next up, we have CA Swati Ajmera, Manager, Integrated Solutions and Pre-Sales at Cygnet.One. Swati brings extensive experience across taxation, finance, and compliance. She works closely with enterprises to address tax and litigation management challenges and helps organizations adopt technology-driven solutions that improves compliance, governance, and operational efficiencies. Last but not the least, we have Hardik Panchal, who is CA and a deputy manager finance at Cygnet.One. Hardik has 10 plus years of experience in finance, taxation, and digital transformation. He specializes in optimizing financial operations and implementing technology-led solutions that helps enterprises move efficiently, streamline workflows, and drive better business outcomes. So before we move towards the panel questions, I would like to ask you a question. Please revert on the poll on your screen. Mm. Meanwhile, you are reverting to the poll. We will start with the panel questions. So, Swati, many organizations receive a litigation MIS every month. But does having a list of open cases actually mean the organization has visibility into litigation risk? What should leaders really be looking at?
Yeah. Hi, Honey. Good afternoon, and good afternoon, every attendee who is attending this webinar, and thank you for attending this webinar. Like Honey has asked that whether that MIS report is sufficient for tracking of the litigations or not, or what else is the requirement of a boardroom for the boardroom visibility or for the tax leaders. So we can say that a monthly litigation MIS is a good start point. but it's not same as that it has a it will give a complete visibility of the litigation risk. A report will simply list down that what are the open cases what exist, but it does not tell you that what matters or where the what require the management attention. So we can say that when the leadership is focused on the litigation, the focus is not only on the tracking of the litigation. That focus will be on that what will be the financial, operational, and the compliance impact of those cases on the organization. So when we say that when we track the cases through the through the MIS report, but it will not we can say that it will not fulfill the requirement of the the leadership, because the leadership want to know that what is the total exposure of the litigation, what will be the financial impact, whether the tax interest penalty, what is the how much amount is at stake in the tax interest penalty, and whether it will whether the decision of these cases and what will be the probability of these cases, whether these will cases will come outcome of the cases will come in favor or in against, and what will be the impact of these cases on the organization, how much amount if any cases which if any adverse order received by the organization, what will be the financial impact or what will be the cash flow that will be that need to be handled by the organization. Then what matters that require immediate attention. The MIS report just provide that these are the cases, but it will not provide that these which litigation due date is coming, when to file a reply, whether you need to file an appeal or not. So that information is hard to identify by the any MIS report. And whether the litigation trend, the organization want to know that what is the litigation trend, whether the litigation is in increasing trend or whether are the decreasing, or if it's an increasing trend, whether the reason is is the same recurring issues are coming in the litigation, and the reason could be the reason could be like the the tax position is taken by the organization due to this the same litigation is coming, or any operational issues is there, or any deadline is missed by the organization, that will have an impact, that will have a negative impact on the organization. Apart from that, the organization also want to know whether whether we are compliance or audit ready. So whenever any new litigation comes out, the document should be available to us, so we can submit it on it on a timely basis. So these questions we can say that will not will not these questions cannot be answered by any MIS reports. So we can say that MIS is a good start point, but to get a complete visibility of any litigation, financial exposure, compliance impact, we can say that the organization should start looking into should moving to the just from a Excel tracker to a litigation tool. They should analyze that a tool that can help to a better tracking of a litigation.
Okay. Okay, so at what point do organizations typically begin losing control of tax litigation, and what are the early warning signs that the existing process is no longer working?
Yeah, when we say that that it's not like that organization will lose a control on the litigation on overnight. It usually you can say that it happens gradually, and the reason could be like the volume of the cases has increased, and the regulations become more complex, and sometimes the information that remains scattered across the emails or the multiple spreadsheet with the multiple teams or or the external consultant. So it will be hard them to get a proper control on the litigation. And so, but you are asking that what could be the sign that will indicate that now that the organization doesn't have a proper control on the litigation. So the organization can ask this question internally, that whether the process they are following can provide these answers to them on a provide these answers to them, like whether do we have a single source of truth, because the litigations will be related to the direct tax and GST, even the earlier act with related to the service tax and excise, still the litigations are going on. So these data will be have a, will be remain with the multiple teams, with a separate team for direct tax and indirect tax. Some data will be have internal team, some data will be have with be will be with the external consultant. So they should ask that whenever any information is required, can we track with a one source of truth? From there, we can rely that yes, this information is completed, and we can track this. We can have a complete visibility from from this source. Now we can should also ask internally that whether the due dates are still tracked manually, because this will increase the risk of missing any deadlines. In litigation, when we see that multiple types of deadlines will come when you have to file a reply of a notice, when you file an appeal, there is a specific timeline is given for to file an appeal, you have to attend hearing. So these deadlines are the very important. You cannot miss out any deadlines. So if these are tracking internally, then it will show that you are at any point of time you can miss any deadline. Then that the organization want a complete visibility from the financial exposure, from the risk exposure, what litigations have a more importance, when to file what will be the financial impact of this, what will be the outcome of these cases, and what is the aging of these cases. All this information should be available to the organization on a single click. If this information is not available to them, then they can see that they don't have a complete control on their litigation. And apart from that, if the similar type of disputes are coming in, there are multiple entities, then there is a chances that they have not analyzed the root causes of the litigation, that why the same case is coming again and again in their organization. So these are the signs that we can say, yes, the organization doesn't have a complete visibility or complete control of their litigation. Apart from this, the multiple times that the dependent, whenever any information is required, the leadership have to ask to their team that to submit this information. The team will prepare this. Team have to consolidate all the litigations, and if this take a significant time or significant manual efforts, then it's a sign that your litigation management is not in a proper shape. So and apart from this, that litigation track a significant time to complete. It can start. It will have start from the early audit or the assessment and reaching to the appeal stage. It's a take 3 to 4 year time. And before starting, you can say that after 1 or 2 year, you will get a notice from the department to file a reply. So it will take a significant time to complete any litigation. So data should be at a proper place in a structured manner. So these are the questions that organization can ask internally. If most of the answer you can say no, or and they cannot find this easily, then we can say that the organization doesn't have a proper control on their litigations.
Completely agree with your point, Swati. So I would request Gaurav sir to please walk us through the case law. Meanwhile, I'm displaying a poll question if you all can revert to that.
Thanks. Maybe I'll just wait for. I'll just present a screen. Basically, I'm taking up a case law of armor security, and this case law directly, meets what is our tagline for the today's meeting. Notice directly reaches to the boardroom. This is a case law pertaining to that. I'll just share my screen. Hope my screen is
Yes,
visible.
your screen is visible.
Yeah. So basically, I'll be taking up a case law is of an armor security. This is a Supreme Court case law. And this case law actually lays down the foundation as to what is to be done when there are various notices issued by the multiple authorities, whether it is from the state or whether it is from the center. Just to give you a brief background, basically the assessee was issued a show cause notice by the state authorities. Then subsequently there was a search after 1 month, and on the date of the search they were issued summons, and a subsequent summons was also issued. So in such a case, a taxpayer approached the High Court to state that the summons should be quashed because this appears to be as a parallel proceedings being undertaken by the state as well as by the center. Because the show cause notice was issued by the state and subsequently the summons have been issued by the center, the central authority. The taxpayer relied upon basically on section 6(2) of the CGST Act, wherein I'll just present the screen. Basically, the law reads as The law states that if there are any proceedings which have been initiated by the state authorities, then on a subject matter, then the same proceedings cannot be undertaken by the central authorities. And in case of Section 70, where the summons are issued, basically the law states that the summons are for issuing and getting some information, that it is for gathering an inquiry, it is at an inquiry stage, and not any proceedings have been initiated. So basically, what becomes relevant to identify out here is like, what is a proceeding? What is a subject matter? How do you determine whether the subject matter is same or no? And what is an inquiry? So the court went through the various wordings, though none of them have been defined under the Act. But the court concluded that there were various judgments which had come of the High Court which were taking various divergent views, some in favor of the assessee, some in favor of the department. The court interpreted all of these judgments and they came to a conclusion where they had drawn an analysis basically that how you need to interpret Section 62B of the CGST Act so that there are no parallel proceedings and there's no overlapping. The court says the proceeding, what do you determine as a proceeding? It summed up as the proceeding means issuance of a show cause notice wherein you have a definitive demand that the assessee is liable to pay. He is aware that he has violated a certain section or a certain provision under the law and for which a demand is being determined or being made for him as being to be paid liable. How do you determine what is an inquiry? Where under the law, if you issue any notice and you're trying to gather any information, that is merely an inquiry which the department is undertaking. The department is not fixing any liability on the assessee. Then it determined as to what is meant by a subject matter. Subject matter, again, it interpreted to say that it means determining a liability and it should arise from a show cause notice. Because it is ultimately a show cause notice due to which the proceedings get initiated under the GST law. Whether there is any inquiry undertaken by the DDGI or by the anti-evasion, ultimately, if the demand has to be fastened, it has to be done through a show cause notice. Then subsequently, the court held that if the subject matter has to be the same, then how do you determine what is the meaning of the word same? Out here, the court said that same would mean that the subsequent authority which is undertaking any proceedings, it has to be on the same issue on which the previous authority has dealt with. For example, it can be a GSTR 2A versus 3B, which the department state authority has already undertaken through an audit. And subsequently, if you receive a notice or a summons wherein further the same information is being tried to get gathered and the liability is being fastened on the same basis, then you can say that the subject matter is the same. So it becomes relevant as to whether you are at a definitive stage of a demand or whether you are at an inquiry stage. Now, there were certain landmark judgments which again the Supreme Court referred to of the High Courts and especially GK trading, which has been mentioned out here. In this case, the summons were issued by both state and the central authorities. The court said that the assessee had approached the High Court stating that these summons are required to be quashed as the summons have already been previously issued by one authority and the other authority is also following up with the same details and the information. So the court interpreted Section 6.2 and they said that these are summons. These are merely at an inquiry stage. There is nothing definitive which has been determined by the state or the center, and both of them can run parallelly. Then subsequently, there's a case of coupon counter, where in the Madras High Court, it was observed that the summons was issued by the center, but the taxpayer argued that I am belonging to the state jurisdiction. The court again held that the center was well within its right to issue a summons although your jurisdiction is belonging to the state and you're not debarred by Section 62B in any manner. Subsequently, in the case of Anurag Suri also, a search was conducted by the center and then the summons was issued. But subsequently, the state also issued a show cause notice. Out here, the court observed that since the period which was covered by the summons and the period which was covered by the show cause notice, this was overlapping. And accordingly, it quashed the show cause notice. So it becomes relevant to determine as such, what is the matter which is being handled by each of the authorities. Yeah. So basically, then the court concluded that, the proceedings on the same subject matter cannot be undertaken by both the authorities. If there is any scrutiny which is being undertaken by the adjudicating authority, it has to be the jurisdictional authority. Intelligence-based information, generally we see anti-evasion and the other investigation officers approaching the assessee. This can be undertaken by both either the center or the state, irrespective of whom the assessee is assigned to, whether he's assigned to a central authority or to a state authority. Proceedings means basically a show cause notice has to be issued, and it is not merely a summons or a seizure. Subject matter, again, it is based on the show cause notice that is determining a tax liability. If there is any overlapping between the same proceeding between the state and the center, definitely it has to be quashed, by the subsequent authority will not be able to undertake the same proceedings. So these are some of the conclusions which the court had drawn. And basically it becomes relevant at what stage you are and who has initiated what proceedings. Yeah.
So, looking beyond this particular judgment, what does this case tell us about how enterprises need to think differently about managing GST litigation today?
So basically, there's also one more part to it. I'll just add out here. Basically, to answer this question, the Supreme Court has laid down, various guidelines around it as to how a assessee should deal with any notice or any litigation which has been initiated. Now, one of the foremost things is that we cannot ignore any notice or any inquiry or any routine notice also. It can be a DRC 01B, it can be DRC 01C, or even an ASMT 10. One has to reply to each and every notice, or even if we are not in a position, at least we need to seek some time to reply to it. Whether it has to be done through an adjournment or whether we submit some partial data, those factors must be kept in mind.
Okay.
Yep.
So, when a new GST notice, summons, or investigation arises, what information should a tax team ideally be able to retrieve immediately before deciding the next course of action?
It becomes relevant to determine whether any previous notice like has been issued under the same GSTN, whether any details have been previously submitted. It needs to be ensured that if we are present in multiple states, the type of details that we are submitting are consistent across the states, and not just that we are submitting any random data in one state and the random data in a particular format in another state. So the details, the ledgers, everything has to be synchronized with each other, and then it must be ensured that we submit the data. Even in some cases it happens that the consultants may have changed, so it must be ensured, as Swati previously also mentioned, that the details should be readily available with the company, and we must be prepared for any of the notices which the department could issue to us.
Okay. Thank you, Gaurav, for walking us through this case. So my next question is to Swati. If a CFO or tax head wanted to assess whether their current litigation management model is truly under control, what questions should they be asking internally?
Yeah, honey. So you can say this is the one of the most important question that leadership team can ask to their team, can ask, that the real time of litigation model is not whether real time litigation model is not whether their only cases are tracked, but it will provide a complete visibility and control that will help to them to take the informed decision. So, and CFO or tax head that should ask the following, you can say they should ask these questions internally. Whether do we have a single source of truth, or do we have a complete visibility of the cases? Do we have a complete financial exposure of the litigations? What will be the impact on the analysis? What matters that require the immediate attentions, or which matters require what that can be that is not only need to be that should require, you can say that will be discussed in the boardroom, that these can have a major impact on the organizations. Apart from that, do we have any that the solution is able to, what the litigation model we are following is provide a complete life cycle of the cases, that how it is started, how it is currently present. Can it provide at that what are the repetitive issues that coming in the organization, or is the due to lack of information available, lack of document available at the time of reply, or it is that some you can say some some approvals are pending, or it is like some informations are held with the outsider consultant. And also that the organization want to know that what is the root causes of the litigation, that why these cases are continuously, or why the litigation trend is increasing. And how, and apart from that, they should analyze that what is the manual efforts their team is putting on into compiling all the litigation, and from the control perspectives only, but that time should be invest in actually in the case handling, rather than to only the rather than to creating only the litigation trackers. Apart from that, whether they can identify that which person or which employee is actually you can say that actually accountable to handle this case, and so that the accountability can be decided. So these are the questions that come in the we can say that the CFO or the leadership should ask, that will if these answers are in yes, if the whatever litigation model or tool they are using, if these questions, if these answers they can get from this model, then we can say that yes, they are using that their litigation is under control. And if this is a no not, then there is a you can say there is a risk with the enterprises, and they should look in the model that why this information is not available to them.
Okay, so before we move forward to ask questions to Hardik, I would like to request you to revert on the poll you will be seeing on your screen. Okay, so my next question is to Hardik. If an enterprise wanted to move from reactive case tracking to proactive litigation governance, what capabilities should the operating model ideally have?
Yes, thank you, Hari. So first of all, I would like to thanks Gaurav as well, because that's the case which he highlighted is a similar case that we faced in similarly to past year, wherein the audit proceeding was initiated by the center, and parallelly as SCN was also issued by a state authority, and it helped us to fight it out. And these are the exact matters which goes to the boardroom and not to a tax head or a tax executive who is handling it. Then to Swati, thank you for building up the base. I would build on it, the base that she has created, and my side of it is more on actually how do we run it week after week across a lot of entities without it quietly coming apart, right? And in my opinion, most of us don't really have a litigation problem as such. The cases are being handled, the replies are going out, the hearings are being attended, the orders are coming in. What tends to be missing is an operating model underneath all of that. So the good work ends up depending on particular person, particular spreadsheet, and a fair amount of memory. And when someone moves on or a date slips, that's usually when it shows exactly what Swati highlighted. So if I would talk about what a proactive model that we have deployed, I would group it into six fairly simple capabilities. The first being a capture. So every notice, every summons, every intimation ideally enters the system the day it arrives, not a couple of weeks later when someone thinks that it is the right time to update. So the point is, if it is not captured, it is very hard to manage. The second is centralized. One place where the matter, the documents, the entity it belongs to, the advisor who has to work on, all sits together and work on that particular matter. Not that being the notice being in someone's inbox, the reply being on someone's desktop, and the order roaming in someone's personal chat or the group chat. Third is control, deadline, workflow, and ownership. Who owns this matter? What's the next date? Who signs off before a reply goes out? When those questions have quick answers, you tend to be in a reasonable control. The fourth, I think most of us miss is the connect. Being able to see that new notice is related to something you already dealt with a couple of years ago on the same issue. The litigation is really a set of unrelated events. It is often the same grounds coming back. So, if the connect was missing, we would have not identified that similar matter or the proceeding is going on with the center, and the similar SCN has been issued by the state government on the same matter which Gaurav highlighted, right? Fifth is assess. We have to be very proactively and we have to keep on assessing what is the exposure, what is the risk, what is the aging, what is the likely outcome. Because as Swati highlighted, the leaders are not interested in the list of cases. They are more interested about what is at stake and what is my liability or the contingent liability if something gets materialized. Sixth is act, making timely decision with the information that you have in front of you, which is technology backed, rather than searching for a concerned person for every single matter that is going on. Right. So simple 6-step model, which is capture, centralize, control, connect, assess, act. I think it is really a way looking at the litigation as a system rather than a pile of case. So once you see it that way, the technology part becomes a lot easier to talk about, which is probably a good place for me to go next.
Okay, well said, Hardik. So, if we take a typical tax notice as an example, how does the workflow change when litigation is managed through a structured platform from notice capture and ownership through response, hearing, and appeals, and eventual closures?
Yes, so perfect thing. Let me walk you through a fairly ordinary example because I think that is where the difference is easiest to see. See, a notice comes in, could be a ASMT 10, a DRC 01A, or could be a summons. It usually goes through something like this. It lands in your GSTN login, whose mails has been triggered to a specific person whose email ID is registered on the GSTN. They forward it to someone. Someone downloads it, renames it, saves it in a folder only they really know about. A reply gets drafted over an email. The deadline sets in one person's head. And if you ask 3 months later that वो notice का क्या हुआ, then it is often a treasure hunt being organized in a system, right? You do not have the thing on a tip, right? Now, let me run you through a more structured setup. So, when a notice arrives, it is captured, right? In the system directly, it is auto synced. The IDP runs on it. The case gets created against the right entity, right registration without manually punching everything by hand. It is classified quickly. What kind of notice is this? Which issue does it relate to? Which period does it relate to? What is the amount? What steps? These are being done automatically by the IDP. The issue tags are added to it so that it is connected to the previous notices that is there, or whether to identify whether it is a recurring issue. Then it is assigned to a named owner using a user uh, assign management module. So there is no real doubt about whose matter it is. The deadline gets set when the case is created, and the system keeps an eye for it with the reminders ahead of time configurable for your ease. So it is not relying on someone's memory. The documents pertaining to that notice, the annexures, supporting evidence, working papers set together at a place which is a document repository rather than scattered around in someone's inbox or desktop or a chat. Submitted, recorded against the matter using the update. So a year later, you see exactly what position you are and what you have took during the proceeding of that case. So the order comes in, it is captured, and if you decide to appeal, the platform carries the history forward. So you are continuing the story, then rebuilding it by tagging it using the unique case ID. And finally, closure with a full record, dates, documents, and decision. The notice, case, classification, assignment, deadline, everything which is in a spreadsheet version. There are a lot of points that are to be managed in a spreadsheet, but in a system, these are easily able to be tracked down and easy for someone who can use it and get the information on a daily basis, or get the information which was a year back or 2 years back. Yes.
Okay. So my next question is to both of you, Hardik and Gaurav. As AI becomes part of tax operations, where can it genuinely add value in litigation management, from understanding notices and identifying issues to preparing responses, and where should human judgment remain firmly in control?
So thank you, Annie, for asking this question. There is a lot of noise around this, that how AI can help in litigation. I think AI and litigation is genuinely helpful and useful, but mainly as something that makes your expert faster and better informed, not as a replacement to a judgment. If we get that boundary wrong, I think we add a risk rather than to remove it. We are seeing a lot of uh, uh, you know everyday incidents wherein the AI is being used even in last week, there was an incident where a notice was issued using an AI, and notice which was issued had the AI paras, had the AI prompts, and also the AI follow-up question included in the notice, right? So we have to have that boundary set right. So where does it actually help? I think it is very good with heavy lifting. Take a 40-page notice with annexure. AI can read it, pull out facts, the keys, the periods, the demand, the issues, and summarize it in seconds. Then it would have taken considerable amount of time for someone who would be working on it manually. It is good at identifying and categorizing issues, working out what the matter is really about, and tagging it consistently. It is helpful for retrieving, pulling up past matters and same issues, and not arguing blindly. It is useful for comparison, flagging where a new position might sit awkwardly, etc. So the pattern is reading, organizing, reviewing, comparing, drafting at a starting point. This is where the AI earns its place. Where the human should firmly control is the judgment part, legal interpretation, how a provision applies to a particular fact. That is a CA or a counsel's call. Strategy, whether we have to contest it or we have to accept a particular ground. It is what a CA or it is a judgment point with which AI cannot take. Factual validation of the case, precedent selection, whether this particular precedent or judgment is exactly what is needed for my case. It is what a human should be in place for. So the way I would put it is roughly let AI do the reading, sorting, remembering, and keep the thinking and the deciding part with ourselves. Use that way, and it won't, doesn't dilute the quality, and it frees you from the monotonous work, and it helps you to apply the judgment where it really matters. And on the judgment side, honesty, there is no one better than an advisor who lives in this matter. So let me hand over to Gaurav. Gaurav, I've
Yeah.
made a case for where the technology helps. From where you sit as an advisor, where do you think that AI genuinely is adding value, and where would you be a bit more cautious about leaning on it?
No, thanks, Hardik. So, Hardik, basically, before to start, I just want to highlight to the audience that basically the Supreme Court, just 1 month before, on 3rd of June, has issued a draft paper which reads as Regulation for Use of AI. And one of the main points, it's a more than a 40-page regulation which the Supreme Court has issued as a draft paper. And one of the main points out there to be noted is accountability, which has been specifically kept out there by the Supreme Court. And it says that if you use the AI, you are the person who's responsible, and we are not responsible. That if anything wrong has been highlighted by using the AI, whether a wrong case law or maybe a wrong fact or any other wrong decision which has been quoted or a citation, it is you who will be responsible. So, as you mentioned, the use of AI cannot be a replacement to an expert. It is something that one has to analyze. The AI can draft you something, they can provide you some basic facts, they can summarize the case law, but definitely a case law also contains some important lines and some important matters which the AI may not pick up. It is subject to interpretation. And just to highlight on my point, on that point before with respect to the regulations, just to add, recently even a Bombay High Court in Jan 26 has imposed a cost of 50,000 for on an assessee wherein he had quoted a judgment which never existed. So it definitely then becomes relevant that whatever you quote, how you use the AI, that is most important. You can summarize a case law, but you cannot grasp the internal depth that the case law is trying to highlight. So it becomes very much relevant that when you use a AI, you are much aware about it to the extent that you need to rely on it. That is the most crucial part, I would just say.
Yes, correct. We agree to it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your insights. So now I would like to request Swati to walk us through the demonstration of our platform. Over to you, Swati.
Right. Yeah, thank you. So basically, before I will share my screen, but before sharing the screen, that Hardik has mentioned that how the case life cycle works, that how of a text, we can say the text side or the texting work start once the notice has list down on the GST on the government portal, maybe the GST portal or income tax portal. how should we basically automate that the user should be automatically get a information that the notice has been issued. It should be automatically updated in the tracker, and the required team members will be sent will be sent an email reminder that new notice has been received. This person has to work on this. This is the notice information, and you have to file a reply on this particular date. All this information will be cited out. Apart from that, multiple issues has been raised that by the Gaurav and Hardik also, that the same matter has been listed out in the multiple cases. The same issue has been whether the notice which is issued by the authority, whether they have a power to issue this notice or not, whether the register is coming in the central jurisdiction or the state jurisdiction. So these information, when a person who is handling the litigation, all these pointers, all this information have a very significant importance to them. So when we the Cygnet has a litigation tracker, but when we that this tracker is developed. This is developed with the help of the multiple tech sets feedback, that what are the major points or major information that a user want to analyze when he sees a notices. It's not like that you have received a notice and you have to file a reply on this particular date, and these dates and reminders need to be sent by the portal. This can be done by a simple tracker. But when we talk about the litigation tracker, it should give a more information with respect to the litigation tracking that will help the user that what is going on, what is going on in the litigation, how is your basically in which shape your litigation is, and what is the risk will be that can come on your organization, and how the previous cases or previous data can help the user to litigate your litigation in the future. And the complete case life cycle should be available. So just let me our solution has basically, you can say, when we define just a minute. When we create this solution, our focus is on all these points also, so that the solution should be more effective to the users. Just sharing my screen. Let me know once it's visible. Just a minute. Is it visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah. So this is a screen of our litigation tracker. You can say it's a listing page. The first focus is that whenever any notice is listed down on the income tax portal or GST portal, that should be available. So our system is capable to fetch the notices from the government portals. That will be automatically listed down with the limited by identifying that what type of case it is. And this portal is cater the indirect tax litigation as well as the direct tax litigations also. When we talk about that, whenever any notice is issued, the system will fetch the notice, will read the notice, will understand this note, what information need to be extracted from the notices, and you will send a reminder to the user that a new notice has been received and you have to file a reply on the particular date. So this is you can say that the multiple fields our system is identified by reading the notices, that Hardik has also has mentioned that the system is capable of being reading the notices by IDP and by the AI also. So when we received any notice, we will identify that for which location or which entity the notice has been issued, what is the reference number of this notice, when the notice has been issued, when the user has to file a reply of the particular notices, or which authority has issued this particular notice, what are the officer's name, what is his jurisdiction, whether the authority is issued by the central GST authority or the state GST authority. And apart from this, the main focus is that what are the total demand involved in the particular case. So these are the factors that user need to when user start working on a notices, he will check this information under which that the notice for is issued in this section, whether whether it is issued in the timeline or not. The officer who have issued this notice have a right to issue this notice or not. Apart from that, the system will also provide that on which ground this notice has been issued. The system will analyze the notice, will identify that what is the ground, will provide a short description for the user, prospective user, and what are the demand amount at a particular issue level. That Hardik has told that it could be possible that when a notice is issued, it is almost 35 to 45 pages, but system will the AI will read this notice, will identify the grounds, and will provide a summary to the user. The user it will help to analyze the notice to the user. But yes, the final decision, or you can say the final approval of the notice, that what notice asked from the taxpayer, so user can edit any information. So we have provided the edit option at each and every point. After that, the system will also support, the AI will also support in the drafting of the reply. So here also comes that the user have to decide whether he want to contest this issue or whether he want to accept this issue. Accordingly, what is the user output on this? Based on this, the system will create a reply and will provide a draft reply to the user. Will provide a draft reply that and in a systematic manner, where it will consider that what output has been given by the user, that whether he is accepting, what are the ground he want to make to specify, and what act told about this. So the combination of from this, the draft reply will be prepared, and user can take a download of this particular draft reply in the downloadable form, down in the Word file or in the PDF file. And after that, the reply can be submitted on the portal. If any, so in the case timeline, if we say that once the notice is received, the reply is filed. This reply should be filed on a timely basis. So when the notice is received, we have sent a reminder to the user that new notice has been received, and the system will also send a reminder for the due date. So the due date should not be missed out by the user, because this this can create a negative impact. Even that's Gaurav has mentioned, if it's taking time, even that you have to file a reply for each and every notice. It could be the audit notice, it could be the ASMT notice, or the inquiry notice. Every notice should be attended by the user. So he have to file reply, but if the reply is not ready, they can ask for extension, but it should be a reply within the due date. So this due date has a very significant impact. The system will notify the user that he has to file a specific reply in this particular due date. After that, when the order is passed by the department, the system will also update that what is the order outcome, whether it is in the favor of the user, whether it is in the against to the user, what is the total demand that is confirmed in the user by the in the order. So this will be a complete life cycle of a case. During these particular things, if any consultant is involved, the system is also allowed that what type of which consultant is working on the particular case, and if any that information can also be stored here. And the whatever documentation has been happened in this case, basically the notice which is received, the reply which is filed, the working files, when the order is received, all document will be available at a single place. So if the case, if any user who is checking this case after the 2 year, 3 year, the data will be stored in a structured manner, so he can easily identify that which case, that what documentation is happened in the previous time. Now, in the particular case, if it could be the possible that you are accepting any liability, or if you want to file an appeal against any case, then you have to pay some amount to the government. If you are accepting any liability, then you can update that what amount you are accepted in a particular case, or if you are filing an appeal, then pre-deposit amount can also be updated here. So this will be we can say this will be a complete life cycle of a case, that is starting from the notices, any reply file, if any hearing has been happened, or once the order is received, the complete the life cycle of a one case can at a one stage is completed. So this is totally, you can say this is almost the 90 to 95% task which are the automated in automated manner, but where the user have to update anything with related to the if any case, if any internal discussion is happened, that need to be updated manually. if any discussion which has happened internally, that how this case should be handled, as any discussion with the external, if any advice or any discussion happen with the external consultant, that can also be recorded here. So in future, whenever if any person who is working currently on this case, and if he left out the organization after the 2 or 3 year, if any person who is a new joiner, you want to analyze that what actually happened in the particular case, that is easily available to him. So the complete data set will be available, complete control will be available to the team. Now, this is the from the, you can say, when user want to, that we have mentioned that on the similar matter, if any litigations comes in the future also, then that can also be that in the, or then the person who is working on the litigation, he want to know that in the past time whether this issue is whether the decision of on this issue is come in the favor or in the against, and what reply is actually submitted to the government for the particular issue. So that filter, so we have provided multiple filters to find out the any information, like if you want to see that which issues come in the previous particular issue, like 2A versus 2B, GSTR1 versus 3B liability mismatch, or any issue which is coming the is identified, e-way bill issue, e-invoice issue, then you can filter out based on the tags that will provide you the details of the cases, that these cases are belongs to the similar issues. So the system will have a multiple filters that will help to the user to identify any case. Apart from that, we have given a Excel download facility to the user, that all the case data, by applying any filters, whatever information or whatever case detail you want to check, it will be available in the Excel file. This is the case tracking functionality. Apart from that, when this will help, you can say, the person who is working on the litigation on a day-to-day basis, but the management want to review only the final outcome, or what is the overall exposure, or what is the from the control perspective. So we have a dashboards also, where we can analyze that what are the due dates which needs to be tracked on this particular date, on for which type of notices the user have to file a reply, and what is the total exposure of your cases, how many cases, in which type of case it has comes, the total case count will be there, what is the total demand in your multiple entities. So all entities demand will be updated here. Apart from that, at each and every location, what is the total case count or what is the total exposure will be available. At a one report is provided a issue tag wise, that is a very important report, that for which on which matter the litigation is going on. So you can find out that on particular the particular issue, in how many cases it has been recorded, and what is the demand amount involved in the particular issue, so that management can identify if the particular issue comes and if in for the particular issue, if decision is coming the against, then what could be the financial impact on the organization of this issue. So they have to the you can say that when the CFO or the tax set looks these issues, they will not see in from the perspective of the tracking only. They will see that what could be the impact of these demands on the organization. If any issue, we can say if any order received in the against for a particular issue, it will come with the, if you want to, then you have to pay the liability, or if you file an appeal, then still you have to pay a 10% amount in the pre-deposit. So it will impact on the it will directly have an impact on the organization. Now the system will provide you the overall tax exposure, that for particular case, or on a centralized manner, that on which state what are the litigations, how many litigations are going, and what is their total amount which is in under litigation. And at the end, we are providing the financial year wise demand also, that for a particular financial year, what type of cases are open. You can say that for a particular, so it could be possible that once we received a show cause notice for a financial year 22-23, but now it has closed and now we have moved in the appeal. So this will also visible that now the case is still for the that the particular financial year is still open at a appeal level. Then it's closed at a case level, at a notice level, but it's open at a appeal level. So these types of multiple, you can say the multiple reports are prepared that will directly help to the organization to analyze their litigation. Apart from that, we have a one that the user that the litigation track you can say that once the notice is received, you file a reply, order has received. Now you will file an appeal against this case. So the complete life cycle will also be available. So you can track a case from the space that when the first notice has been received, what is the demand amount in the first notice, when you reply has been filed, when the order is received, what amount has been confirmed in the order. Apart from after that, what when you have filed an appeal, then how much amount that on which amount you on which issue and which issue you find an appeal and what amount is under appeal. So these information or the complete case life cycle will be available. It provide a complete tracking of a case from notice received, and you can say that from an assessment notice and audit notice received until is the case reached to the first appeal or a GST appeal, it will take 4 to 5 years. So the complete data will be available here also. So the system will automatically create all this life cycle of a case. Apart from that, we have a direct tax visibility also. That's also so that a single, you can say the single solution can provide a complete visibility of your indirect tax and direct tax also. That so we are covering the direct tax litigation also, that which type of litigation is going on, what is the on which section these are going on, what is the process when the notice has been received and when the reply need to be filed. So and will provide you the case life cycle also. So basically, we are covering both indirect tax module and direct tax module that will provide a central visibility of all your litigation with respect to the both of the act. Yes, Ani. We can take we can take questions now.
Yes, thank you, Swati, for an insightful demo. Now we will be displaying a last panel question on your screen. Please revert on the same. And meanwhile, if you have any questions or queries, so you can ask in the chat box, and our speakers will be happy to answer that.
So someone has asked that whether our solution is available for GST and DT both. Yes, this is available for GST and for direct tax also.
Okay, so the next question is, will this provide the contingent liabilities and the interest liability as on day?
Yes, it comes with the contingent liability also, and provide you that what is your what will be your and you can track your provision and the total contingent liability demand cases from here itself. Are you providing a centralized pan-India level litigation and notice tracker in one place, covering all our GST and PANs and locations? Yes. Yes, we provide. Okay, it's already answered by Hardik.
Yeah, so the next question is, how accurate is AI in identifying issues and drafting responses for GST notices?
So I would ask Hardik to take this question.
Yeah. So we have received a decent level of decent accuracy percentage level on the issue extractions and reply generation as well. We are actively integrating a few of the repositories for the case laws, and after that, I think it would be a very much good first draft which a consultant then can work on and finalize the reply.
Okay, so the next question is, does the platform maintain a complete history or audit trail for every action taken on the case?
Yes, it track every event that when notice received, when reply filed, if any action has been taken, when the hearing notice has been received, whether the hearing attended by the user or not, when the order has been received, or even if the case is moved from one stage to the other stage, all can be tracked. So the complete case life cycle can be tracked with the information most of the things automatically updated in the system. But the only the you can say the manual some will be the manual intervention where the internal and external discussion with your team need to be updated by user. Other will be automatically updated and complete life cycle will be, and each and every event will be available for the tracking purpose.
Okay, so the next question is, can we manually merge two separate notices in a single SCN?
So currently it is not getting merged, but it can be linked via a unique case ID, which can be generated, and both notices can be linked to each other. So when Swati showed us that notice timeline, and that notice timeline will be able to see that these two notices are linked and how a life cycle is going on.
I can see that Kunal has raised his hand. Do you have any query or question? Please feel free to ask. Yeah. So whether just a second. Whether submission on IT portal would be through this LMS, and also all submissions and attachment would be saved.
So, Pallav, we do not have a reverse integration as of now. So, whatever submission that you have done on the IT portal can be synced back, but whatever submission that you want to do on the IT portal, you have to do it on the IT portal. It cannot be done from the LMS itself.
Okay. So the next question is, does it send automated alerts for reply due dates,
Yes.
hearing dates, and appeal deadlines?
Yes, so we have a configurable model wherein it can send you the reply due dates, hearing dates, and appeal deadlines. So other than that, it can be configured as well. So you can put in the dates like 7/3/4/1. So every 7 days before the deadline or before the due date, it would send you an alert. Before 3 days, it would send you an alert. Before 4 days, it would send you an alert, and before a day, it would send you an alert. So it would send you alerts on the multiple days as per the frequency that you have set.
Yeah. So the last question is, can Cygnet LMS integrate with ERP systems like SAP or Oracle?
So currently it is a standalone system, but whatever integration do you want to do, it can be actively explored and can be done.
Okay, so I don't think there are any other questions coming in. Yeah. So thank you everyone for your questions and active poll participation. A sincere thanks to you, to our amazing panel, Gaurav sir, Swati, and Hardik for sharing their valuable insights and practical expertise. We hope today's session gave you a clear understanding of how organizations can centralize direct and indirect tax litigation, improve visibility into notices, automate workflows, leverage AI for notice reply drafting, and strengthen governance through a single platform. The webinar recording will be shared with you all post this webinar. If you would like to have a personalized demonstration of Litigation Management System, please feel free to drop an email on enquiry@Cygnet.One. Thank you once again for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.